from days, month, and years. Most of the times, this policy is implemented for years because this policy is part of the compliance procedure, whatever the company is going to follow. It's a PCI compliance, HIPAA compliance, ISO standard, or whatever the compliance policy we have. And then we can go and say save. So this is how we go and configure the policy. And once this policy configure, then we also have to now define that where this policy going to deploy. Policy is created, that's fantastic. But where it should go and deploy, on which site? So we should allocate the site which is holding the DMS or this archival storage. Because as per the project or as per the requirement what we have, that the document which come to the archive storage, that need to be deleted after certain period of time. So this is what we have incept during the initial discussion when we are actually designing this particular whole plan for the customer. So it means that this specific document need to assign to a specific site collection, or we can also assign it as a specific template. So when we say that a specific site collection, we can go and define that this particular document which is going to impact this specific site, and then you have to select your site. Maybe you can define again the URL. Let me see if the URL is still working. Not pretty sure. Not this one. Let me to hold this one as in this service. If my search service is working, then it should take. Now I'm going to say that I want to give this a specific site collection. All right, still not taking. It's not checking, still not searching. All right. So once we define this site collection, then we have to define which policy. So if I have more than one policy, one might be for 1 year, one might be for 7 years, we can go and define this particular policy is going to impact of the DMS, which is part of that DLP, or you can say a deletion policy. So how we are going to achieve our objective when we have a requirement? We have to find it out our own limitation. This is a good way, but this way will only available when we are using enterprise version of SharePoint. And enterprise version of SharePoint is a very costly. Second, if we are not using this part, then still we have a lot of third-party tool like Semantic, which is going to give me a DLP capability, or you can say a deletion protection capability against my services, including SharePoint. So we can think the ways, and then we are going to define that one. So how I am going to help out this customer when we are designing the whole architecture? We say that for a deletion policy, if it is an enterprise version of SharePoint, I can use that feature which is available out of the box. We do not have to go here and there and we do not have to do anything. So this deletion policy is available as a part of your compliance dashboard. So it means that if you see now from all the angle, this is how I am going to implement each and everything which we discuss along with the customer to find out or to design their own whole content management system, their whole SharePoint infrastructure. So understanding the requirement, yesterday we did one kind of a requirement gathering, and then we try to map exact feature which might be available or not available with the SharePoint, but how we are going to achieve the objective. Today also we see that there is one requirement which assigned to us as a customer, and then how we are going to achieve this whole objective using automation, using any part of tools or something which we can think about that. Just give me a sec. I'm just all right. So as a SharePoint admin, when you get a requirement, I might be your compliance manager or a security manager. I am going interested to know that how you are going to achieve this requirement without violating our organization policies. So we can create a kind of a requirement mapping chart. So let's do that and understand if I have to put a requirement mapping chart, how this chart exactly prepared within an organization, which need to be first approved, and only then we can start our job as a SharePoint admin to configure anything else. So first column will always a requirement. We can design the requirement. Second column should be the solution. Third column should be dependencies. Of this solution, and then we can also define that what the risk associated with this particular solution. So all this will be a part of my requirement flowchart, which I am going to give to my management. So for an example, this is my requirement flowchart, and let's map the requirement which is given to me. Requirement is that we need to have multiple YZ in my SharePoint portal. Now, this may be a requirement which comes that I need multiple type of services like weather forecast, world clock, a countdown timer, or a progress bar. So we have to first map that what exactly solution you are going to give us. So let's say I have a multiple solution for that. For first, I can say I can going to use an inbuilt app. Solution number 2, I can go and use a script. Solution number 3, I can go and purchase the app. Now for the single this requirement, as a SharePoint admin, I have proposed that this is the 3 things which I can think about that. First, we can use inbuilt app. Second, we can use a script within SharePoint. And third one, which is say that you need to purchase an app. Even we have a fourth one where we can say that we can develop an app. Now let's have a dependencies. So for an example, if I am using inbuilt app, first of all, first dependency is that which type of server we are using. In a standard edition, we have a limited app. Or if I have an enterprise edition, we can get certain app there. A script, again, it is depending on that as an organization policy, are we okay to run an HTML script into my organization? Because sometimes it is dangerous as well. So let's say, for example, if I want to run an script in this specific site, it might be dangerous because script can be exploited by the hacker if script is not secure. So it means that here I can define in my site collection administrator that what the HTML field security we need. For an example, I can say that no, you cannot use the script which is coming from some domain which is not part of my organization. Or we can say that permit the script if this script come from this trusted domain. So yesterday we use a script to have a weather forecast. First of all, the application which developed by some third party organization, are they trustable? Means whatever the code they are giving to us, not sure whether this code itself may contain a malicious information. So first my security team will verify if that code is confirmed. They say that that particular site is okay to use, or the widget from that particular site is okay to use, then only that script or that budget we can go and use that. So number one, when we are using a script, we have to define here dependencies that approved list of external site. And almost every organization will have approved list of external sites. Even if they do not, even if you as a SharePoint admin proposed, I will found the solution for you, but that is coming from this specific website. I request my security team to confirm whether this site is everything is perfect. So they will run their own tool to check it out whether this site is coming from a trusted source or not. So this is going to be my dependency. Again, for a purchase app, dependency is budget. Does I have a budget allocated to purchase the app or not? And then accordingly, you can define the risk. For example, if I am using a standard edition, then might be inbuilt app is not available for us. This is a risk. So maybe as a SharePoint admin, you might assume this must be available. Let's say you say that yes, I can do that. But actually, when you go and check the app, you found that this app is not available at all. Then when you dig out why this is not available, I have learned in a training center, there I get an app, found out that is running a standard edition of SharePoint server. So here we can say the risk that depending on if we use a standard edition, we may need to upgrade the license. Second part, we can define that if it is a part of external approved list, code can be exploited. Exploit means someone might hack the code. It's depending on the budget. Risk can be budget approval may take time, so it is going to delay your project. Delay in implementation. So now you can think about this whole chart to be framed, and once the chart frame, then only you can present this chart to your compliance manager, to your security manager, and once they approve this chart, then only we can proceed further to deploy that one. Now, one in the overall scenario, what we have seen so far, that we as a person, we can go and deploy a legal hold. Now, this is a job of SharePoint administrator to deploy a legal hold, because the configuration which is required, you may ask from a compliance team or security team, and then you are going to configure, because they are not technical guy. They have no clue that how this legal hold is going to configure in a SharePoint. They can only say that please hold this document. Second thing is that when you configure a deletion policy, again it is coming from your compliance team, that document should be removed from the organization once this specific period is over. Now how to do that? This is again a task of a SharePoint admin, because the compliance team have no clue how this is going to configure in SharePoint. But definitely your compliance team required to check that how this a specific, even if you put a legal hold policy, even if you put a deletion policy, but how I as a compliance team, I am going to check. I say check, not to configure. Configuration is a SharePoint administrator job. How to configure the legal hold in a SharePoint, this is a job of administrator. But I am a non-technical guy. I am only a compliance guy. I want to check that how many documents we have which exactly catches the legal hold. How many documents we have in the library which is need to be deleted or marked for a deletion. At least I can get a report, not to configure, to get a report. So to get a report as a compliance team, SharePoint again give you another enterprise service enterprise feature which is called e-discovery. So e-discovery is a feature available in a SharePoint enterprise version. We say that I as a compliance guy, I as a compliance person or auditor, I can log into this portal and I can run a scan, simply a scan. A scan I can run on the basis of a keyword. So let's say, for example, I just type a keyword called passport. Since you already configure the legal hold, all the document which having a passport must be available in a legal hold portal itself. But I want, as a compliance team, I want just type this keyword. I maybe search in a specific date time, from this date to this date, how many document has been uploaded, which has been marked as a legal hold, and it is held by a SharePoint, so that I can take my own decision as a compliance manager. Now SharePoint 2016 says, once your legal hold configured, once your deletion policy configured, once your DLP policy configured, then as a compliance team, I can have a different portal. In this different portal, I can scan the whole legal hold database. I can scan the whole DLP database, and I can scan the complete deletion policy database, and I can get my report. Here, I not need to configure anything because I am a compliance person. I have no clue how this specific setting going to configure in a SharePoint. So for compliance guy or for a compliance team, SharePoint is going to give me another enterprise feature, and that feature is called e-discovery. Something is wrong. Blah, blah. All right, let me to have a site collection, and here I can define my compliance team discovery portal. So you can say that this is compliance discovery portal. I think we already also created, let's check, and then we can say that this is related to discovery of the portal. I just give a short name, and then in enterprise, when I come here, I will get something called e-discovery center. So what the e-discovery center is going to give me, it say that it is going to help you search, scan and export the whole report as a compliance team. So we can search across all my SharePoint sites. I can perform a search across all my legal hold, whatever we did. And this e-discovery also capable of performing a search to integrated service. For an example, my email server, which is running Microsoft Exchange. This e-discovery also capable of scanning my file share server. So let's try create that the e-discovery center to see how, as a compliance team, I can use this e-discovery center to perform my scanning, and then we can go and export the report. All right. So it say that the e-discovery center has been launched. Now this is my e-discovery center. What this e-discovery center is going to give me, that I can create my own query and I'm going to use this query to search that one. So first, let's say for an example, I want to create a case. What exactly I want to search here? So I'm going to say create a new case, and I'm going to define a case to search for personal information. This is my objective. And then I am going to say here, this is related to info. So it is going to give me a template which is called e-discovery case. And now I am going to create this specific portal, use the same site permission, say yes, yes, yes. And I'm going to create e-discovery site. In this site, I can use. Now, this site is ready for me as a compliance manager. Now, I am going to give this site to compliance manager. Hey, Mr. Compliance Manager, if you want to perform any search, you can use this portal through which we can go and configure my sites. So let me put it to outside of my SharePoint server. Hit that enter. Now, here it said that first you have to define what exactly you want. You want to identify that how many document in this overall every sites within my SharePoint which have compliance issues. Maybe it have certain information where I can go and check that it contains the information related to a password. So then I say, let's create a new discovery set. And once we have a discovery set, again, it's depending on my search. Let's see, personal info. And I am going to define a source where I want to search this one exactly. I'm pretty not sure. Let me use this one. Let's try this one. No, still it is not working. By the way, so if you see that it has given you two options. One, to search the whole mailboxes. So if my SharePoint is integrated with this mailbox, I can perform a search. Second, it is also giving you an option to search your SharePoint site. So with the single console as a compliance manager, I'm going to search the data or a file which is available to user as an attachment in their mailboxes. I'm also going to scan all my SharePoint site, whatever we have listed, and then we are going to take out or dig out my report through that. Once my scan completed, I can give my all my keywords here. For example, does any document which contains information like a passport, does any document which contains the information like mobile number, and so on, so on, so on. And then we can also define my start date and end date. I can also very specifically search the name of the person who has, which I think that he has violated the compliance. So Mr. Tom, does Mr. Tom has violated the compliance? I want to check what Mr. Tom has uploaded. So I can define the author and a sender, a start date, end date, keyword search, author based search, everything we can go and define here as a part of e-discovery set as a company. And once this all done, we can also do that What will happen if I detect anything which is still not hold by legal hold? Because legal hold we also may configure something, some different keyword. But here I am searching a different keyword. In a legal hold, we have used invoice word, but in a as a compliance manager, I am going to search passport and a mobile. So there might be many document which contains mobile and a passport word. So I can say that please enable in place hold. Not only I as a compliance manager going to scan this one, I can also get I can also enable enforcement the document which found with the keyword password and mobile going to put in a legal hold. Legal hold means it is going to create a copy of the document and put it into preservation document management system. So in this way, I as a compliance manager, I can go and perform my search. And once we configure this all part, then we can scan the report. And here, whatever the report I have, that report I can go and export that. So all my search report, whatever we have confirmed, is I am going to search and export that in a specific format. So look at that for an email exchange, it is going to give me searching or this type of message which we can do. For a SharePoint, it is again go and define a different kind of an properties. For an example, who is the author. We can add as many property as we want, that what exactly we are going to say that, and then we are going to say export the result. Result will be exported to me in CSV format or Excel format. And then I, as a compliance manager, I am pretty happy to see this report, because on the basis of the report, I am going to give my own plan to management. This is what the vulnerability I have found in a SharePoint. This is what the risk I have found in the email exchange, where many people share the document in an email itself, not on a SharePoint. So I also find out the document which the user used to send as an email. I scan both. This is my report. And on the basis of the report, the compliance manager is going to define and design what next we should you as a SharePoint admin going to do to enforce whatever the compliance policy is. So it means that when we see an overall picture, my SharePoint is going to give me all this feature through which we are going to manage my content, manage my compliance. We can also enforce a standardization within my organization as a form of template. We can also define different kind of an checks and balances, that how the whole flow going to be work. Lot of things can be automated if we are using a Microsoft own tool which is called a Power Flow. So Power Flow is going to give me all kind of an automation, where if any document which I found non-compliant, email get going to shoot to that user that hey guys, I have found your document is a non-compliance. Please make it correct this immediately, otherwise we are going to take certain action from you. So all this automation we can also integrate along with the SharePoint. So what the SharePoint capability, that it can integrate with all other tool of Microsoft, like Microsoft Exchange, Microsoft Online, Microsoft Skype for Business, Microsoft File Server. So all the Microsoft related tools and services can be integrated with my SharePoint. And as a customer, we are going to take the leverage. So what is the first things which we have to understand, that what the customer given the requirement, how we are going to provide a solution to this requirement. On this solution, what is my dependencies, and how we are going to mitigate the dependency sometimes also we have to propose, because many times manager says that I don't know guys, you are technical, you are champion, you are gurus, so you have to say how you are come out from these particular dependencies. But as per the dependency you also have to highlight the risk. This is the risk what we have, and if the risk is pretty high, maybe the decision or call need to be taken by a specific department head or a zonal head, because something which is everything is not beyond in hand of SharePoint administrator. So this flow chart is also a pretty important way to demonstrate that yes, you are exactly know how we can use the SharePoint within an organization. We have a wage and a means. We have a services. Otherwise, as a SharePoint admin, what is my task? Nothing. I can create a list once in a week. I can update something once in a week. Most of the time, I only have to I only have to monitor my server performance. Only when the ticket has been assigned, if the ticketing system has been enabled, certain tasks we have to do. But time come when something new have to be implemented. That implementation is not every day, it's not every week, but sometimes it has to come. And as a SharePoint a specialist, as a SharePoint team, we have to also provide a solution and an architecture that what we are going to do for this customer. So this is what we have, which we can, which we can design a plan. So it means that you now understand that from yesterday and today, that first as a SharePoint admin, once you know everything as a technology, you have to map the requirement of the customer and try to implement it. And once you implement, you have to maintain that as well. Every feature which you turn on, it has may have an impact, huge impact. For an example, the moment I enable a search service, my performance go for a toss. The moment I create another web application, the load on my SQL server will go pretty high, because every web application going to create a separate database. If we implement a open security or inbuilt security of the SharePoint, chances that someone can get the access of other SharePoint site which he should not. So every site have their own security structure, and we have a clear cut definition that maybe I as a user Tom, I have a contributor right on site 1, but maybe a reader right on a site B, and maybe no right on site C. So this all site security also need to be segregated, separated, and then only we can implement that security within the SharePoint system. So this is what we have as a record management, compliance management, template, and a content management. Overall, how we can configure a site, make the site as a standard or the best practice site, and then we can go and implement that. As a SharePoint team, we can also think about the site template which is available by Microsoft itself. So go to that URL and just pick out the template. Maybe you have some kind of a testing environment where you can implement and first check that how this specific site going to be work on. All right, so let's have a small break. When we come back, we will do some another exploration in this SharePoint site. Okay,
Mhm.
let's have a break.